And good morning and welcome to WVIP's Meet the VIPs. And of course, Mary Michele, it's a Friday. You're here. Good morning to you, madam.
Good morning.
And we are going to take your calls on astrology at 241-1310. But before we get to the calls, and you can call in now, Diana DeSantis, who is the Mrs. New York America, is here. And she's got a couple of questions for you. Diana, why don't you come over here so Mary Michele can talk to you. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Diana. Morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Okay, so Diana is born with the sun in Aries and the moon in Sagittarius, Mercury in Aries, Venus in Taurus. There's a lot of fire here. You have, let's see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets in fire. This is about strong creativity. This is about the need to always be working in the arts in some capacity, to be working with, just lots of beautiful things. Color, fire. When you think of fire, it's very colory. It's very, lots of colors. It's got lots of panache. It's very good for the kind of thing that you're doing. It's very good for, being in front of the public and so on. With Aries, with all this stuff in Aries, it's about definitely wanting to compete as well. So there's a very strong competitive element. With the moon in Sagittarius, there might be kind of more of a philosophical underbelly to you. Are you someone that is interested in teaching or philosophy or religion or anything like that?
Yes, I am. I teach aerobics, but I also go into the school systems to teach the children that what's most important right now. Oh, I need the microphone.
Yes, it helps.
That what's most important is how we treat other people, not so much walking in and seeing me with a crown and banner. But I do definitely love teaching, and of course religion plays a big part in my life.
Yeah. So anyway, well, in terms of this this upcoming thing in the pageant that's happening, when September 16th, you said?
It's September 16th, but I leave the 7th, September 7th.
Well, you were born with Venus, the planet Venus, which rules things like beauty pageants in Taurus, which is a very nice place for it. So you'll be very grounded in your experience with doing this. The nature of competition is something that it's kind of like prediction, and in the nature of the kind of stuff that I do, I try to stay away from prediction of a very firm sort. You're definitely someone that's very good at competing, and with the moon in Sagittarius, when you go off and do these kind of journeys and you learn about yourself and so on, in my opinion, you can't lose. So whether you'll technically win the competition, I can't exactly say. There's good indication with this Venus in Taurus, because the sun will be in the sign of Virgo at that time, so it's very complementary. There's a strong indication that you could, but no matter how it turns out, you will be someone that will get a great deal from this opportunity, and you'll use it.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, Diana, I could not hear the conversation.
I just wanted to say one more thing.
I trust she will do very well, though, and we'll see you. Diana DeSantis, Mrs. New York America. Yes?
I wanted to say one more thing about the name Diana. The goddess Diana, she was the goddess of the hunt, and the moon in Sagittarius. This is very... the name goes very well with the moon. So there was something, when I first saw you, I thought you were Sagittarius. You have a sense of that. So anyway, I wanted to.
I tell this, the stars, but soft with light through you. Never mind. Shakespeare and all that. You had shown me an article before you got here today. And by the way, we are taking calls at 241-1310, 241-1310 if you want to talk to Mary Michele. It had to do with Pluto and I believe Sagittarius.
Sagittarius, yeah.
Okay, tell me about this.
I wanted to talk about this a little bit because I think that, we're going through, I don't know about you all, but as far, for me it was very tough losing two heroes this week, or last week with Jerry Garcia and Mickey Mantle. I think it was kind of an end of an era. I know we've said that at different times and so on, but I think that these two people really represented the nature of heroes of our generation, but also because we're coming to the end of the millennium, that it's it's like a passing of the mantle, literally. So anyway, Pluto in Sagittarius, Pluto has a very long cycle. It stays in one sign approximately 13 years, and it takes 230 years for it to come back to the same sign that it was in, So the last time Pluto was in Sagittarius was in the 1700s, which I think is sort of interesting because this, of course, was when our country was when the revolution happened and when things, sort of got set. And Freemasonry is one of the precepts, it's one of the ideas, the concepts behind our Constitution. And all of this happened in the 1750s. And this was, Pluto was in Sagittarius. So let me back up just a little bit, because we're moving into Sagittarius in November, and we will be there for the next 13, 14 years. So what I'm trying to explain or, draw a diagram of is how these cycles tend to happen over and over again. So with Pluto in Sagittarius in the 1760s, and then it went through, of course, 1776. It was the late 60s and so on. There was this whole concept of, let me read what it says about the Freemasons here. It says, Freemasonry flourished all over Europe and America during the 1750s with Pluto and Sagittarius. And most of the founding fathers of the American Revolution counted themselves as Freemasons. By 1762, nearly every town in the American colonies had a Masonic hall. And if you travel around the country at all today, you'll see that Masonic halls are, very much a part of the landscape. And even if they're not used as much, there's still a certain amount of, nobleness about them. I think they kind of lend
stature? Could I use that word? Because I think of the one here in Mount Kisco, and it is a building that says importance. The Masonic Temple.
Exactly.
And they use the word temple.
Exactly. And their beliefs were kind of interesting. Freemasonry claims direct descent from the Eleusinian Mysteries. Now, the Eleusinian Mysteries were what was developed when Demeter, the goddess of the earth, had this problem where she lost her daughter, Persephone. I think I told this story some time ago. Anyway, because she lost the daughter, she ended up having a place where people would come to worship to make sure that the crops would come in and so on, because that's what she ruled, was nature and crops and so on. So the Eleusinian Mysteries is where people went when they needed agricultural help and so on. So anyway, the Eleusinian Mysteries was one of the Masonic concepts. Descent from ancient Egypt, from the Far East, and the ancient religions of India, from King Solomon and Hiram the Builder. Isaac Newton, that is, declared that Freemasons believed in the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the moral law, the golden rule, and the hope of life everlasting. Masons acknowledge belief in a deity and profess belief that character is destiny and that man is immortal. They believe that God has revealed himself not only in the Old and New Testament, but in the Vedas, the writings of Confucius, the Quran, and in sacred or cosmic law. God was identified as the master builder or master architect. So, that goes in with the idea of Freemasonry, which was always about the building of stone. It was very much about how stone is placed in the churches and the temples and so on. And in the previous cycle of Pluto and Sagittarius was when the great cathedrals in Europe were built, like Chartres and one of the great ones in England. I can't remember which one. Whoops. Salisbury Cathedral, Chartres. Universities were founded when Pluto was in Sagittarius at Oxford and Cambridge and so on. Anyway, so all of this to say that I think it's a very important time that we're coming into. And the interesting thing is that, we've had Pluto in Scorpio for the last 13, 14 years, and it's a time when there's a lot of, what would be the word, when people are kind of tearing things down, and I think that there has been a little bit of dying. There's been for things to be reborn. People need to go through, they have to get to the bottom before they can come back up to the top, rise to the top again. So anyway, the idea is with Pluto and Sagittarius that the past 13 years and all of the stuff that we've examined and re-examined and, maybe had to die a little bit, all of us, to get through, when it goes into Sagittarius, there will be, a real uplift.
All right. We're talking to Mary Michele, taking your phone calls at 241-1310, 241-1310. Give us a call if you would like to find out anything about what the stars are saying and the planets. We will be back with Mary Michele right after this word. Again, the number to call is 241-1310.
This fall, why not gain the experience you need to be competitive in today's job market?
Good morning, Mary Michele, and good morning to John calling from Ossining. Date of birth is April 18th, 1948. Good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning, John.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine. Listen, I am about to start a new enterprise, a new venture, and I was just wondering how propitious the stars were to beginning to be starting this kind of thing now.
Okay, great. I'll have a look. April 18th. Okay, well, you have the sun in Aries, and you have, you have the moon in Virgo. Well, we're going into the sign of Virgo next week, so this is, how imminent is this new business that you're doing?
It's going to be happening real soon. It's right there, and really what I was wondering was, was this the time to be getting involved in something, or should I be waiting? That's really what I would like to know, Mary.
Well, I think that with the moon in Virgo, is this something you've been thinking about for a long time?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If it's something you've been thinking about for a very long time, then I think you should start it next week.
Well, that's terrific.
I just want to condition this. If you can't get it done by next week, you don't want to do it after the 22nd of September. You want to wait 3 weeks.
Okay, so in other words, I need to do it either now. Immediately, quickly, or wait.
Or wait if you can't get it off the ground before the 22nd of September.
Okay.
All right, John, any other questions for Mary Michele?
Well, Mary, that was really helpful. Thank you very much. That gives me a lot of sense of security now.
Yes,
okay, good.
Go for it.
Okay, you can call Mary Michele at 241-1310. We do have an open line now, 241-1310. Can I get back to Pluto and Sagittarius again? We got the Masons thrown in there. Sagittarians themselves, with Pluto going in there, are there certain things that they have to be cognizant of or at least be willing to think about for the next, 13 years?
Right.
That's a long time to think about something. Do they run in 13-year cycles, all these? Or let's say if Neptune goes into Mars. I don't know. I don't know if it's possible.
No, they're two planets. They collide. Neptune and Mars are both planets.
Oh, that's right. But Sagittarian,
Sagittarius is a sign.
Okay. Yeah. If it goes into, let's say, Orion, something like that.
Right.
13 years is an awful long time for people to have to sit there and say, I got to think about something's going to happen. What general advice can you give to us before we get to Kitty on line 2?
Well, I think, as this article that I was reading from by Frances McEvoy, she's a very highly respected astrologer and so on, I think what we need to realize is that, it is going to be a time of tremendous growth for a lot of people. Now, the nature of Pluto in general is that Pluto is the god of the underworld. So whenever someone can't adapt to, new philosophical ideas or new concepts or, just allowing themselves to be more liberally minded in terms of their belief systems. It doesn't mean that you can't have strong beliefs, but that you have to accept the ones of others and realize that so much of life, the fun of it is the discussion of it. Let's have a healthy discussion and see how, one person can think of it this way and another one can think of it the other way. And if someone is very, very rigid in their belief systems and they can't have, some fluidity, Pluto and Sagittarius is probably going to bring things up for them on a consistent basis where their faith will be tested.
All right. I'm sorry. Kitty apparently hung up, so we do have Maria on line 1. Maria's date of birth is December 26, 1920. 12/26/1920. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning, Maria.
Good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Okay.
Did you have a particular question, Maria?
Yes, this concerns my health.
Okay. So, December 26th. Oops. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hold on. We having a little problem there? Did you get disconnected by some chance,
Yes,
Mary
no,
Michele?
okay. I'm all right now.
Okay. Maria, can you hold on for 1 second? We're going to get back to that. Apparently, we have a slight technical glitch here. We will be back with Mary Michele just about a minute away, and we will get everything straightened out. You're listening to WVI Person. And, of course, their a la carte dinner menu is available as well. La Crémaillère, the ideal spot for a romantic dinner for two or a cozy family dinner. Transport yourself to a small village in France for an evening. Taste the flavors of Alsace-Lorraine region of France with their new fall Sunday prefix menu during the months of September through November. For more information and reservations, call La Crémaillère 234-9647. La Crémaillère 234-9647. Okay, the gremlins have disappeared. It's not the Ides of March or the Ides of August. Let's get back. Mary Michele is on the phone now with Maria. Good
Hi,
morning.
Maria. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
Okay. You have the sun in Capricorn, the moon in Cancer. So you were born at the full moon, which means that things in your life have always been kind of in your face. You have to live things to the fullest. Capricorn by nature is not a sign that likes extremism. They like things to go along in a very, level, balanced kind of way. And you have, being born at the full moon, it makes it a little more difficult to do that because, the emotions are coming up in a very strong way, fighting your will from time to time. Anyway, in terms of your health, you have Saturn, which is the ruler of Capricorn, in the sign of Virgo. So are these things to do with do you have a particular problem right now, and does it have to do with your stomach?
10 years ago, I had a operation on the left breast.
Uh-huh.
I'm still taking medication for it. Now, my medication has been just changed recently, and I was wondering if it was going to work.
Right. Well, were you experiencing, was it making you feel ill, the medication that you had before?
No, I also receive medication for different items.
Right.
So I receive 4 medications in the morning and 2 at night.
I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Whenever Saturn comes into the picture, it's about time and taking time. So in terms of adjusting to the medication, it will probably take, a couple of months or something like that. But if you didn't have trouble with the other medication, I think the odds are that you'll probably not experience anything too difficult with this one. It's just that adjustment period. Does that sound...
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
any other questions for Maria?
No, I
Okay.
just didn't know that. Thank you.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you for calling in. On the phone with us now is Carol, watching on television in Katona. Good morning to you. Date of birth, November 25th, 1942. 11/25/42. You're on with Mary Michele. Good morning.
Good morning, Carol.
Good morning.
May I ask you to turn your radio or TV down, please?
Did you have a particular question?
I was just curious, Mary, when I heard about Pluto being in Sagittarius, what effect that would have on me personally as far as in general health and overall well-being.
Okay. You have the, 25th. You have the moon in Cancer. Are you a mother?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you spent a lot of time with your children?
Yes.
I think that the nature of are your children grown? Are they out of the house now?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the nature of Pluto and Sagittarius might be about you teaching other young children, maybe spending time either with, do you have grandchildren?
No, I don't.
No. Well, with children of some sort, I think you need to pass on your learning. You also have Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius, so you have a lot of knowledge to impart. You also might want to study something new. Did you like school?
It's interesting that you mentioned that. I have been seriously considering going back to school.
You should. You should definitely do it. And at the same time, you should also be thinking of ways to teach. You know, the knowledge has got to come in and go out. You can't hold on to it. You kind of have to try to give back as much as your
Do you feel that Pluto in Sagittarius is a good time for people?
Well, as I say, if people can adapt to this idea, you know, the idea of expanding your consciousness and trying to understand ambiguities and dualities and, you know, the fact that, you know, there are differences. You know, we are different. People are different. Some are girls, some are boys, some are black, some are white. You know, they're all different kinds of differences. And what we have to try and do is live with those differences and feel more comfortable about them. So I think, you know, the more people that can do that, you know, the better. But I think there will be some that find it very difficult to do. And those people that find it difficult to do will find it more difficult the next 13 years to, you know, Pluto and Sagittarius will knock them down if they don't try to live with this ambiguity.
What about overall health?
Overall health. Okay. Well, you know, I think things to do with your you know, your innards, like your stomach and you know, below your colon and that kind of thing. These are things that you need to take care of on a regular basis. Does that ring true?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Mary Michele, you ready for another call now?
Yeah.
Or do you want to okay.
Yeah.
We've got John watching on cable channel 12 in Mount Kisco. Good morning, John. Date of birth is December 4th, 1939. December 4th, 1939. Good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning, John.
Good morning, Mary Michele. I've just discovered your program, and I think it's really great.
Oh, thank you.
I'm
Thanks,
going to have to tell everyone I know about this.
Well, wonderful. Okay, December 4th, 1939. Did you have a particular question?
No, I didn't. I just am so intrigued by what you're doing that I thought I would throw out to you the date and see what was going on.
Okay. All right. Well, you are born with the sun in Sagittarius, and you have the moon in Virgo. This is a hard angle. You know, it means that in terms of the sun represents the father, the moon represents the mother, and it means that the concepts of conscious and unconscious sometimes were at war. You know, and it might have been your perception of your parents' relationship, not necessarily the way they were, but how you saw it. So, you know, sometimes it's a little hard for you to jive how you feel unconsciously with the way you feel consciously. I know that sounds a little vague, but anyway. All right, so you have Mercury in, it just went into Sagittarius. So, it just went into Scorpio. Venus in Capricorn, Mars in Pisces. Okay, there is some Pisces stuff here, and it's opposing the moon. So in terms of fighting, particularly with women, you're not too good at it.
Have you ever known a man that lost?
We always lose out on these battles, don't we?
Better that we know it in advance.
Well, anyway, you know, Mars in Pisces is really about, you know, having too much compassion for, you know, the other person. You know, Mars is the god of war, and you have to learn how to, you know, fight. When it's in Pisces, it doesn't really want to fight. It wants to take care. So he's, you know, Mars, can you imagine the god of war not knowing how to fight? You know, it's tough. So I think that's about all I can say.
All right, suppose now I pose a question to you. What would you think were the aspects for the next, let's say, 6 months for business?
Okay. I think this coming month, you know, like the end of August through the 22nd of September, is a very, very good time. You know, this with the moon in Virgo and, you know, this transiting sun in Virgo, you know, a lot of opportunities will come up. Let's see. You know, I think towards the end of September through into the middle of October, it's a time to take a rest and start again like around the 1st of November. So I think that's about as far as I can
That's great.
go into the future.
Okay, thank you for
thanks
calling. Mary Michele, ready for another call. We've got 2 waiting right now. Let's get to Jennifer watching on Cable Channel 12 over in the town of Yorktown. Good morning to you. Date of birth, January 20th, 1973. January 20th, 1973. Good morning, Jennifer. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning, Jennifer.
Hey, good morning.
Okay, January 20th.
By the way, we do have one open line now at 241-1310. If you want to get to talk to Mary Michele, give us a call now, 241-1310. For Janice, who is also holding on in Yorktown, we will get to you shortly.
Jennifer, you have, as I'm sure you know, you have the sun in Capricorn, and you have the moon in Leo. Leo is, to have the unconscious ruled by Leo means that you definitely, you're very good at parties, and you enjoy going out, and you enjoy giving dinner parties most probably, or, having other people come over to your place kind of thing. Is this true at all?
Well, I haven't really done much of that.
Yeah.
I haven't.
You haven't had the chance?
No.
Well, try it. I think you would enjoy doing that. Mercury in Capricorn. Are you calling me about work?
Yeah, actually, I'm having a baby.
Oh, how exciting. That's great. When is it due?
November 25th or 26th.
November 25th, 26th. So it could be a Sagittarius.
Right.
Well, you have, let's see, Mars in Sagittarius. Otherwise, there's a lot of Capricorn stuff here. It's a lot about career. I mean, have you